Hello. How are we all? Welcome back to Good Sport Reviews, where today we're going to be going through more of the crazy summer transfer window. Let's put it that way. It's been very, very crazy 24 hours, 12 hours. It's certainly picked up from yesterday, let's put it that way. So when we went into yesterday, we were talking about Chiesa, we were going over the Mamadashvili deal for Liverpool, we went over a lot of different things, but since then, things have gone crazy. The past 12 hours in particular have gone big for Premier League clubs. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please make sure to click subscribe. Going to be doing these a lot more frequently. I think doing these in between list videos and the other videos that you guys watch really does fill up the time. I don't want this to become a thing where I do one video every few weeks or whenever I get the time. I want to make sure that I can get content out for you guys, and the live streams are such a good way of doing that, especially during the transfer window. If you can as well, get your comments in. Anything that you want to discuss, anything that you want to say, anything you want to talk about, put it in the comments. I've got it on my phone now down in front of me, and I'll get you as involved as I possibly can. If you do comment, I'll make sure to shout out whatever channel that you're on or whatever platform you are using, because we've got plenty to get into. We're going to go for about 35 minutes, 40 minutes, something around those marks. Durso5 says, just jumping on, what are your thoughts on Chiesa? I'm actually quite happy with the Chiesa deal if it does go through. Let's be real. We are going into a very uncertain future at Liverpool with the likes of Mo Salah potentially leaving. We don't know what's going to happen with Nunez, and Chiesa, for all his injury concerns, is a £12 million potential bargain of a player. Now, don't get me wrong, like, go check out the stream yesterday, go into a bit more detail about him, but there is concerns over injury, of course. He's a name who's often been touted around the Premier League for years. 3 years ago, I think he was valued at something daft like £100 million. If Anthony's worth 80 million, Chiesa is worth more than 12 million. Let's just put it that way. He's a talented player. I'm not going to say he's going to be the solution to Salah. I'm not saying at all that he's going to be the long-term successor to anyone in the team, but there's talent there. No one can deny that. And he's very much in that sort of Xherdan Shaqiri role, I suppose, if you want to give one. Like, he's very much, he'll give you that extra element, that extra option in attack when you need it. That's something different that a lot of the others can't provide. He's capable of beating a man. Salah can't necessarily do that anymore. And yeah, I think if it's something that does come off, it's something that I'll be happy with. I'll have no qualms with it. I'd much rather sign a number 6, but that's by the by. We'll do a separate video on that. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Now, we're going to get into what I consider to be one of the big stories of the day, as Manuel Ugarte. Now, nothing has been finalised yet at the time of this. Fabrizio Romano, make of him what you will, has said that so here we go, quite essentially. The deal has been sealed between the clubs. Personal terms have been agreed, apparently back in July, which this does feel like it's a deal that's been going on for months. Like, Ugarte has been one of the more difficult signings, from what I understand. Man United have really pushed for this deal for a long time. I think if he comes in, he will be the best signing Ten Hag has made during his time at Manchester United. Like, you can say Martinez maybe, but there's been injuries. You could say Casemiro at one stage was a fantastic signing. Promoting Kobe Mainoo is another one, but I think Ugarte is what Man United need, and I think he's such a good player. You're looking at someone who, he was very sporadic in that PSG side last season. You go to his statistics, 33 games he was involved in the squad. He was only in the starting 11 21 times. He was substituted in 4 times and didn't even play in 8 of the matches. Now, you could say that sort of skews his statistics ever so slightly. You look here, the fact that the tackles, he's in the top 99 percentile, and this is across all of Europe's top 5 leagues, the Champions League, Europa League, the Conference League. He's in the top 99% of midfielders for tackles. He's in the top 96% for ground duels won. Man United have needed that in their midfield for a long time. Even dating back to when they signed Casemiro, they've always needed that extra bit of depth in midfield, because for all Casemiro was a fantastic signing when they got him, Champions League winner on multiple occasions, one of the best, if not the best CDM in the world, alongside likes of Kante and Fabinho. He dipped majorly, and Ugarte, for all it's not worked at PSG, it has worked at PSG. He's so good on a ground duel. He's so good at getting into tackles. He's so good at playing the ball. It's not his specialty, but when we look at Man United and these huge gaps that they leave in midfield, these open spaces, Jamie Carragher's touched on it, Gary Neville's touched on it, a lot of other people have touched on it, content creators and pundits alike. The front line pushes forward and the back line often drops back, and it leaves this huge wide open space in midfield. And I think Ugarte's ability to he will be that extra layer of protection, so much so that I don't think he'll necessarily need anyone alongside him in the way Casemiro did, where it was actually a hindrance at points, having to pull one of the forward players back, like your Mainu, like your Ericsson, to help him secure that midfield. I think Ugarte is good enough that he could just be left to his own devices and he'd actually do a very solid job. Ender says, Ugarte would definitely help, but I feel like it comes to how Ten Hag uses him. He just seems to mess people up. He does. I think Man United now are in a very strange position whereby the signings don't feel like they're being tailor-made to the manager, as we saw in the past with like Mourinho, Van Gaal. I think the signings they are making are tailor-made for the club. They are planning, they're being proactive finally, not reactive. They seem to be bringing in players who, regardless of what manager comes in, you can get a beat out of them, if that makes sense. Like Lenny Yoro is a talented young centre-back who any manager who comes in will definitely be able to do something with him. Xerxes is a talented striker, very quick, very good on the turn. Any manager who comes in is going to be able to get anything out of him. Ugarte is just another one of those players. He's one of the best CDMs in Europe, in my opinion, and he was underutilized at PSG because they were a possession-based side. Let's face it, PSG dominate that league. You're not seeing the best of Ugarte. But even so, the stats favour him massively. Like 40 interceptions last season is in the top 98%. And again, reminder, this is the top 5 leagues in Europe. This is including the Champions League and the Europa League. He's also didn't give away a single penalty, which is a terrific thing to see for him. And he was only dribbled past 47 times, which is 2.19 per 90, the bottom 1%. Like, he's a talent that United have definitely needed, and I think having him in that midfield will push forward the likes of Mainu, the likes of Mason Mount, these players who need to show what they're capable of going forward. And Ugarte is that anchor that they've lacked for a long time. Casemiro had it for about 12 months, but he massively dipped. His age started to catch up to him to the point where he looked like he was running in slow motion. This is a long-term plan, without a doubt. And like I said, it does feel like the club are future-proofing, not just by whoever the manager wants now, as we saw even last season with Ten Hag and his signings. This feels like we need to prepare for the possibility that Ten Hag will not be here till the end of the season. So we've got to create a team that anyone can jump in and take over from with these players. He's going to travel to Manchester as he only wanted United, and United only want him. So the fee is 50 million euros with plus 10 million in add-ons. And we couldn't get Zubamendi for 60. I'm just saying, it's one of these sad sides. Same with the Marino deal to Arsenal, that Liverpool couldn't sign Zubamendi for 60 million, but you've got United getting bargains, in my opinion, in Ugarte. They've spent about 140 million, and their recruitment's been so solid this summer. So credit to Man United where it's due. I think they've absolutely smashed this transfer window, and I think Ugarte is potentially going to be their player of the season if everything goes ahead the way it should. Thank you for the comments as well. Make sure to get subscribed. I'm Durso. We're having a chat. I like it. I wanted him bad in the clock when he left Sporting. Now not a fit. They're starting to make good decisions over there. They absolutely are. I completely agree. This United side finally, as I say, it looks like they've got things right, that you can't just tailor make your expenditure to the manager. It doesn't work. You've got to plan. You've got to sign players who will benefit the club. And you've got to think as well, as much as we don't want football to be a business, Lenny Yoro is only going to increase in value, you imagine. Xerxes, same thing with him, even though he was quite expensive. Ugarte has 2 or 3 good seasons. The value's increased. If the option does come in to sell him and you're in a dire situation, you've recouped what you've spent. So, yeah, I think they've done very, very well in that regard. We've then got Ivan. Oh, the Chelsea. The Chelsea experiment continues. Let me know in the comments. Do you think that Chelsea have done well this window? Because I really don't, and I don't think signing Ivan Toney is the solution to that problem either. Like, oh, it's such a. I'm very curious actually. I want to know what Chelsea's transfers have been, because Dewsbury Hall, just to name one of 1,000. It's so difficult to remember everyone they've actually signed. So Pedro Neto, João Felix, Dewsbury Hall, Jurgensen, Kellyman, Pep Mendes, Vega. It's ridiculous. And they're considering getting Ivan Toney. They're considering another deal, which we'll talk later on, for like Jadon Sancho in separate deals, or even a swap deal. Like, Chelsea have broken the transfer market. They've broken the way that transfers are made in this league. And let me know. Do you think they've had a good window? Yes or no? Because I'm very unsure myself. I'm not set at all that they have had a good window. I think they've actually been quite poor. And Ivan Toney, I don't think is the solution. For all that he is a very good player, don't get me wrong. Is he the answer? No. He needs service. Chelsea, we saw in that City game. Wolves, yeah, fair enough. They were really good. They were absolutely fantastic going forward. Madueke looks like a good player. Palmer started to find his rhythm, but is Ivan Toney that goal scorer, that person who's going to get them the goals they need and play the way that Maresca wants them to? No, I don't think he is, because he's not that type of mobile presser that I think Maresca's after. Surely that's why you brought in João Felix. Surely that's why you've got Nkunku. Surely that's why you've got Nicholas Jackson, who, for all he can't score, or he really does struggle to in a Nunez style vein. He can press. He can at least have a go at actually pressing the back line. Ivan Toney won't do that. So what's the point in this deal? Well, Todd Bowley doesn't have a clue what he's doing. In the easiest and simplest way I can put it, he does not have a clue. This is Football Manager to him. He's seen Ivan Toney on the market and went, well, a piece of that. I know who he is. I've heard of him. Get him in the team. So yeah, it's happening. Well, it's in talks apparently. How can you get any chemistry with all these ins and outs? I completely agree with you. It does not make any sense. They switch managers too much to allow them to run transfers. They need to settle things and get a long-term structure and plan in place. And this again is what we're saying about Man United, that they have now got a structure. Liverpool, for all that we give them grief in not signing players, there's a clear structure. Chelsea under Todd Bowley, I've pissed it up the wall. There's no identity, there's no plan. It's simply bring in as many players as you possibly can and hope that they increase in value. But how do you increase the value? You increase the value by playing. How do you play? By not having 50 people in the team. You can't fit them in, so they're not going to play games. They're not going to increase in value. So what is the purpose in it? Well, yeah, I don't know. But Ivan Toney, apparently they want a proven goal scorer for the team. His wages will fit and the transfer fee will be reasonable. Now, let me know, what do you think is a reasonable fee for Ivan Toney? Because I remember there was a point, I think it was Arsenal linked with him, and they were saying 80 million, something like that. I don't think Ivan Toney is worth 80 million. You've got to consider the fact that he's running down his contract, that is coming down a bit. He's 28 years old. He's certainly a talented player. He's very good at what he does, but he's very much a sort of poacher, I think, in regards of he can definitely finish, but I don't think he's the most mobile attacker. And having those players around you like Madueke, like, well, obviously not Raheem Sterling anymore, but Pedro Neto and all these other attacking players, Cole Palmer, Dewsbury Hall, João Felix, Nicholas Jackson. The only rationale I can make for it is that Ivan Toney is going to be the focal point in the front line to knock it down for these other players in behind, to pull other players towards him, create space for them, maybe lay it off, maybe offer them a different option. I'm not sure. I don't know what the plan is with regards to Ivan Toney, and I don't think Chelsea do. I don't think Todd Bowley has a clue in his mind either. It smacks of, ooh, he's like a magpie. You know, he just sees someone shiny and goes, "Oh, I want it." It's a ridiculous transfer. It's not a ridiculous transfer. I think Ivan Toney at one point was the hottest commodity in England. Probably, maybe not last season, that was Ollie Watkins, but I think maybe the season before, in terms of like English strikers, the ones that everyone want. Harry Kane was before that. Then it was Toney. Then it was Watkins. You know, who's going to be this season. I think his time has started to pass since he's come back from the ban, from the suspension, the gambling one. He didn't look up to. He scored in his first game back, and then from then on, it just sort of dipped. The others moment at the Euros, but I don't know. I think the time's passed. This transfer to me, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense, I'll be honest. It's a baseball strategy to load up on young talent and sell and trade. It is completely solid scorer, should be 50 million plus, but something is weird with him. Yeah, and this goes back to what I'm saying. I don't think he's particularly done well since he has come back. I think if I type in the Ivan Toney stats and see what comes up for that, like, he's not a very he's definitely tipped. So in the past 365 days, of course, I know he came back from the suspension. This is just based on that because he obviously didn't play before then. Looking at his shots, 78 percentile here, 3.17 shots per 90. Because he was the focal point in a Brentford attack, he probably would be in the Chelsea attack. But I think Brentford, even then, I think they've got more of a structure than this Chelsea team do. Don't let the Wolves victory fool you. It's still a bit of a basket case over there, and I don't know. I can't see the rationale in to a certain point. He's still winning aerial duels. He's still a very good defensive player, but in terms of getting the ball forward, his progressive carries, he only registers 1.43 per game, which is like 56 percentile. He's not a ball progressing play. He doesn't pick it up and run with it. He doesn't try to get in behind. He's just very much a target man in the middle of the box because he's so good in the air. He is okay at shot creating actions, but he just doesn't strike me as what Chelsea need. That is what I'm trying to say in the most long-winded way possible. 20 league goals in a good team, possibly. We saw that at Brentford. Like, he's got it in him, but does he have it in him anymore? Because since coming back from his suspension, I just haven't seen a lot of it, to be completely honest. I haven't seen a lot of the Ivan Toney from 2 years ago. We actually go back to the 23-24 season. He played 17 matches, and in terms of the goals scored, he scored 4. Now, 4 in 17, like 1 in every 4, around about that mark. So, not awful, but yeah, I wouldn't be breaking the bank for him if I was Chelsea. Is my point. And then this is I suppose the Ugarte was the big news, but Man United are at it again. They've come in with the swapped. It's not even a swap yet, so I can't rationale for it. He'd be perfect for Man United or Arsenal, but it seems like teams are scared of his disruption. The team, yeah, attitude issues are definitely a worry. Yeah, we've seen that time and time again. We saw that with Chelsea, England over the Euros. Like, he's not too shy about being vocal, and if you've got a back room that's full of players competing for spots and he wasn't happy not getting into that England team, I don't like in the starting 11 because one player was there ahead of him, how's he going to feel when he's fighting for one spot with like 10 other players and he's got a constant change of managers and ownership that doesn't know what's going on, inadequate size training facilities? You think Ivan Toney's just going to keep his mouth shut? No, he's going to come out and give it hell. And you need those players sometimes. You absolutely do need those players sometimes, but I just don't think I think it's just going to cause more disruption behind the scenes than it will. But maybe I don't know a thing. But I suppose the big one, it's one that we didn't really see coming. Well, I kind of did. I said a few days ago that Raheem Sterling to me smacks of a Man United signing from 12 months ago. Maybe not under this current regime. But I think if you went back 12 months, Raheem Sterling would have been the ideal Man United signing. Big name player, big wages, not coming to the end of his career by any means. He's 27, I think, Raheem Sterling or something. He's been around for years, but he's still got gas in the tank. But is he going to Man United? I don't know. So the Current discussion is Jadon Sancho to Chelsea. The only so Juventus were originally in discussions with Jadon Sancho. They've now sort of dried out a bit. The discussion has sort of calmed down, and now the latest we're hearing is Jadon Sancho is in discussions to join Chelsea, while Raheem Sterling is in discussions to join Manchester United, which they're saying is not by any means a swap deal. It's not involved. They're not involved in each other's negotiations. I don't know if I believe that, but yeah, this is who does this benefit more? Honestly, you'd have to say Sterling, I think, to an extent. You look at Sancho. Sancho is not guaranteed to start. He's going to have to prove himself majorly, I think, given the fact, yeah, he went to Dortmund, but I don't think he excelled. People like to sort of shape the narrative because they reached the Champions League final and act like he was outstanding. And I don't think he was. I think he had a few good moments, but he wasn't setting the world on fire. Sterling has proven time and time again at multiple different clubs. I'd argue even at Chelsea in that first season that he's capable. He's more than capable of competing in these big teams. I think if he goes to United, the only real player he's competing with is Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford is in the door, out the door, in the door, out the door. There's a very uncertain future surrounding Marcus Rashford at the moment, and Raheem Sterling could come in and do a job. He's happy to run into space. He has slowed down a bit, of course, but he can provide that little bit extra than a lot of wingers. He's a legend of the Premier League. He's good on the ball. His finishing can leave a lot to be desired, but you've got Højlund there to do that for you. You've got Xerxes there to do that for you. Rashford could play through the middle if you absolutely needed him to. There's options. Whereas you go to Chelsea and Jadon Sancho is going to be joining an absolutely clustered attacking line with so many players competing for the spot. And also says, I don't think either would start, would they? Do we mean Sancho or Sterling? Like, do you mean if these swapped clubs? Because I don't think Sancho would start, but I think Sterling could get in that team because I think Rashford now is. I think Rashford, if they sign Sterling, I think Rashford goes, as big of a shout as it is. I don't think Rashford's going to stay at United much longer, certainly not beyond this season. There's too much friction there. I can definitely see a world in which Rashford leaves. And I think if Raheem Sterling does join United, there is a doorway for Rashford to leave. They're going to have to raise back funds for the summer they've had. They've sold Scott McTominay today, which is 30 million. That covers part of the Ugarte deal. But then beyond that, not a lot has gone on for them in terms of sales. They've not done a huge amount. You've signed 140 or 180 million pounds worth of players. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but you're going to have to recoup some of that to stay within regulations, stay within the rule set. And then you've got Sterling who's coming in, who's not going to be cheap. He's going to be cheaper than what he originally would be because obviously Chelsea want to get rid of him. But if he comes in, Rashford, there's a doorway for him. Neva would get in the 11. Garnacho's on the left, isn't he? Yeah, I think Garnacho has been more on the right at points because Anthony has definitely slacked. I'm sure Garnacho has been starting on the right-hand side for Manchester United. Let me just have a look at the United starting lineup for the last game that they played against Brighton. Remember, guys, if you could, please make sure to click subscribe. We want to try and get to 3,000 by the end of the year. So, if we can make that happen, that'd be absolutely outstanding. And yeah, so number 36, this has gone back to the wrong year. This has gone back to when United actually won against Brighton. Let me just see if I can find the correct one. That's the one. I'm trying to get the dates right in my head. But yeah, I'm not too sure about this whole Sterling United thing. I think if he does join, there is a world in which. So Amad Diallo started on the right, so he's even an option on the right-hand side. You then got Garnacho, who did he come on? I don't think he did. I didn't watch the match. I won't lie. I've had to go back and watch everything. He wasn't even in the. Wasn't even in the team by the looks of things. He must have been in the team, surely, Garnacho. Anyway, by the by. But yeah, so, you've got Garnacho, you've got Amad Diallo, who's started to really push for a starting venture in that squad. So, yeah, it's been. Sterling has been unfairly treated, I feel, at Chelsea. I understand the rationale that Maresca has a certain type of winger, but you're telling me you couldn't get a beat at all out of this Premier League legend, this man who has won multiple titles in two of the biggest teams in England. Well, now three of the biggest teams in England, in Chelsea, of course. But you're telling me that you couldn't get anything out of him, and he may have to go to Manchester United, which, yeah, if I'm Raheem Sterling and I'm considering all my options, United is the better choice, to be honest. And also, 100%, yeah, thank you very much. If you haven't already, make sure to click subscribe. It really does help out. As I say, we want to try and get to 3,000 by the end of the year. And just a reminder, guys, I'm going to be doing more of these. If you've got any topics that you want me to discuss, comment down below now, and I will get them up for you straight away. We're going to be on for like another 50 minutes or so please get involved, and I will get your topics spoken about, because we've got plenty to discuss, to be honest. It's been a busy day. It's been one of those transfer windows where it's sort of ticked along nice and smooth, and then we've got to the end and it's just blown up. Chiesa deal in the past 24 hours, the Sterling and Sancho deal, Ivan Toney, Ugarte. It's been a crazy 24 hours. It's a lack of confidence in his coaching ability should have kept Poch. So I am in the same vein. I think Pochettino should have stayed. I think he wanted to leave to a certain extent. I think he had friction with Todd Bowley. Todd Bowley, to me, strikes as a very dictator kind of figure, where he doesn't even know. He's like a spoiled rich kid who's given all this money and go, you get all you want. Oh, there's the shiny coach Maresca who played under or operated under Pep Guardiola. Let's get him in. Of course, he's going to be perfect. Poch is old news now. If you keep Pochettino, I think they spend less in this transfer window. I think there's more of a strategy coming into this transfer window. You're coming out of this transfer window with a much better system. You're in a much better place, not spending money on copious amounts of players. They have 7 goalkeepers in that team now, 7. And Kepa is still at the squad. He's on going to loan on Bournemouth. Like, there's no system, and the sooner Sterling can get out of that team, the better. Go to a more functional side. And the fact that I'm saying this about Man United, who are operated by the Glazers, is ridiculous. This is how far it was. Chelsea were up here and United were there. They've now suddenly plummeted. United have moved up ever so slightly, but Chelsea have gone down huge, and Todd Bowley is a massive part of that. Another thing I want to discuss. Have my corona. Is the Bajcetic deal. Stefan Bajcetic. I'm not happy with it. I won't lie. The Liverpool section. If you're not a Liverpool fan, tune out. Please don't. Beg you, please click like and subscribe. But yeah, I don't agree with this in the slightest. The only way I can possibly get on board with this is because if we sign a midfielder, if we sign a number 6, because you're essentially saying Gravenberch, this makeshift number 6, and Endo are enough. They're not. They're not in the slightest. We know they're not. You've then got Bajcetic, who injury has clearly derailed him. It's made a huge impact on him. He was out for pretty much all of last season, bar a couple minutes in the Europa League. I think it was LASK. Pretty sure he played at right back at one point. He needs game time. But to loan him out with no contingency plan, no number 6, is outrageous from the club. And I'm not by any means an FSG out person. I'm not at all. I think the business they've done over the past few years has been smart. Probably we want more investment. Of course we do at points, but I think the way they've ran the club is very well. There's a measured approach. We're not going gung-ho like Chelsea, like I think a lot of fans would want, which is ludicrous in my opinion, that fans will just... There are fans who will be happy with a Chelsea-style transfer window until it all goes wrong, and then suddenly it's, well, should have been smarter. Well, when we are smart and play the cautious game, what do we get? But anyway, yeah. So RB Salzburg, Pep Linder's team, of course, he's gone to RB Salzburg as the manager now. Want Bajcetic on loan. They're in negotiations at the final stages with the details to be clarified, but already underway as Pep Linders wants Stefan. Now, if he is going on loan, this is the club I want him to go to. I think he needs a league where, playing under Pep Linders, he knows how Bajcetic operates. He's going to be able to get him back to fitness, but he's also going to be able to get the best out of Bajcetic because he's worked with him. If he went to the Championship or another Premier League club, I think that's too intense for him after coming back straight away. He needs this type of loan. He needs to go to a league which can sort of ease him back in to football, because he did go through really bad injuries. He had all sorts of growing issues. And at one stage, I was up for loaning him, but that was back when I thought that a number 6 was due to come in, or we had some sort of plan in place. But with it being pretty much dead set, the Gravenberch is the number 6 now, and Endo is the backup. I would have liked to have seen Bajcetic stay and maybe get a bit more game time, because you lose Gravenberch, you've then got Endo as the sole operator, unless there's another plan in place, unless McAllister can go back to that makeshift number 6 role. But yeah, as much as I'm happy to see Bajcetic get the game time, and I really hope he does well at the club, I'm just not sure that loaning him out is the best move for the club. It's selfish aspect, I know, but we've got a long season ahead. We have such a difficult season ahead. There's more Champions League games now more than ever. The Premier League, we're going to go on all levels. We need depth. We need that depth in midfield, especially because we've actually got weaker over the summer in midfield. We've sold Carvalho, who did so well in pre-season. Bajcetic is going on loan. We just need something. And as much as I'm happy with the Chiesa deal, as much as I'd be over the moon signing Chiesa as that little bit of extra depth, and Mamardashvili is a signing which makes complete sense in the long term, and I will go into that if you want, leave in the comments down below. But Bajcetic is that extra layer of protection. And from a purely selfish aspect, or sorry, no, from the complete opposite, from a humanitarian aspect, I completely agree with the loan deal in terms of getting in the game time, getting him back to fitness. In terms of a selfish aspect of Liverpool, he needs to stay, because we do not have a squad capable in midfield of dealing with injuries in a way that you're meant to. You can make McAllister a makeshift all you want. You can make Bajcetic, Gravenberch a makeshift all you want. It doesn't work all the time. You can get lucky sometimes, as we did at points last season, but eventually your luck's going to run out, and we need to really sort of take a cautious approach now. I'm just going to use the LFC transfer room for the last 10 minutes or so of this. If you haven't already, go subscribe to them. I'm part of that. I'm one of the hosts on the channel. They're streaming right now, actually. Oh, no, the stream's just finished. But yeah, every single day, 7:30 p.m. UK time. So make sure that you go subscribe to them. And while you're also here, make sure the channel. We're on 2,064 subscribers at the last time I checked. That makes sense. Pep will look after him personally. I think with Slot, 6-8 points better right now. We are so tight defensively. We absolutely are. We definitely... Look, this is no disrespect to Slot at all. Slot has done an exceptional job in... The back line looks so stable. The defensive aspect of the game looks so stable. There's such a nice turnover, the double pivot, the way it operates, having that one player just sitting that little bit deeper to pick up the ball, but is so ready to burst into space. Having Trent, who can come inside as that extra defensive layer, is terrific. But injuries do happen. That is going to happen at some point. And as much as we, can touch wood all we want and hope that they don't, at some point they're going to crop up. And you need that player who can jump into that position and play that position properly, not a makeshift option that may or may not work. And yeah, be proactive, not reactive. I'm not a ranter of the window. I actually have no major issue But yeah. Liverpool are working to complete the signing of Federico Chiesa from Juventus before the transfer window shuts. 26-year-old Juve winger for 15 million euros. I mean, come on. Come on. Like, 15 million euros. And there will be people who say, well, we want Anthony Gordon for 60 million pounds. Let's let's look at this in the positive. What are we known for in the transfer window? We're known for being smart with our deals and getting the best bit of business. You look at goalkeepers nowadays, goalkeepers cost excess amounts of money. They are ridiculously expensive first team goalkeepers. And we've signed Mamadashvili, who has the ability to become a first teamer in a few years' time for around £25 million, when you've got Chelsea signing Kepa for £70 plus million. You've got Onana going to United for copious amounts of money. And then we've got Chiesa for £12 million. A Champions League experienced player, a Euros winner who's played in for Juventus, one of the most historically significant clubs in the history of football, for £12 million. And the wages won't be cheap, not at all, but that's such a good deal. And there are people questioning it. Endo cost more. Chiesa has injuries without a shadow of a doubt. But for £12 million, that's a gamble worth taking. Thiago was £35 million, and he was injured every other day at legs like Weetabix. We still look at that as a good signing. Chiesa for £12 million, I have no issue with doing it whatsoever. Yeah, I've got no problem with taking this gamble, so to speak. The money that we got from Sepp van den Berg alone covers 2 of these signings. Like, we've done so well in that regard. Liverpool have confirmed the signing of Giorgio Mamardashvili. That is fantastic. He'll join Liverpool for 25 million plus a fixed fee. He's going on loan for the remainder of the season, and he will join. Was happy. I'm so happy with that deal because, like I said, Kelleher, like I said yesterday in the stream, Kelleher for beyond this season. I'm actually shocked he's still here now, to be completely honest with you. So the fact that we've signed this backup who, while Alisson has said he's going to be here for his contract, I doubt he's going to stay beyond that. You've then got this keeper who's replacing Kelleher, is younger as the backup, who can step into the first team when Alisson goes, and then you can work on signing a backup. We're not in a situation like we find ourselves with Van Dijk and Salah and Trent, where they could go at the end of the season, and then you're in a panic trying to sign another player. This is being so proactive to the Alisson situation, and I'm very happy with this deal. Welcome to Liverpool, Mamardashvili. First signing of the summer is done. Let's do a second one and get Chiesa through the door. Finally, something has happened in our transfer window. The jokes can stop. Liverpool have actually signed someone. We've signed the future number 1 for the club. I guarantee it. Owen Beck has joined Blackburn on loan for until the end of the season. Hamad Ali says, what are Chelsea doing? I don't know, mate. I really don't know. Not a clue. No one knows. Todd Bowley doesn't know what Chelsea are doing. Chelsea don't know what Chelsea are doing. They've pissed it up the wall. Not a clue. But yeah, 32 games in the league last year. He isn't playing 90s. He's getting 20 to 30 minutes all the time. Yeah, he's not playing the full 90 and then 38 games or whatever it is. But since the major injury he suffered in 2022, his injuries, if he has had them, have been minor. I think he's worked his way back up. And most of his injuries since then have been muscle fatigue. They've been issues with regards to his fitness because he's worn down. Alisson was excited about it too. I like it. Yeah, and this is another thing before we go. I'm happy that the club have spoke to Alisson and said to him, look, we're not signing him to replace you now. We're signing him because X, Y, and Z. He's a future-proof option. He's someone who's going to come into the club and, give us that extra. We're just securing our future. We're just putting a deposit down on this house for when the mortgage expires on this one. It's smart business from the club, and I'm all for signing Mamardashvili. First deal in. A deal between Liverpool and Juventus for Federico Chiesa is on, talks taking place. So I assume this one is going to get a sort of here we go in the next around about then. I think this is going to be where it gets going. But that is going to do it for today, guys. Let me know in the comments down below. There's a few things, actually. What about these streams can be improved? What would you like to see to improve these streams for you. That is such a key part here, because this is all for you guys. This is something that I'm doing to pursue as a full-time thing. This is something that I love to do. So let me know what you want to see that would improve it. And also, if you could, make sure to click subscribe. That helps out massively. Also, let me know what you think of the Mamardashvili deal, the Sterling deal, and the Ivan Toney deal. They are the three that we're going to be talking about, and your comments will get brought up in the next stream. I'll give you a shout out. If you do put a super chat in or anything like that, we'll sort out something for you as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all in the next stream. These are going to be coming a lot more regularly. They're just really fun to get involved with you guys live. There is more list videos coming out. I'm in the process of typing up 2 of them at the moment. We've got 10 longer serving teams in 10 different leagues, which is a really interesting one. I'm also going to be doing a Premier League Game Week 3 predictions 10 list as well, giving my thoughts on every individual match and get your guys' thoughts on it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next stream. Have a good night.